Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest secret of success is not found in talent, luck, or privilege. It is found in the unwavering force of inner will. The moment a person decides that failure is no longer an option, something extraordinary begins to happen. The mind, once scattered, begins to focus. The spirit, once hesitant, becomes determined, and the body, once tired, finds strength it never knew it had. This is the force that compels you to win. It is not a gentle push. It is a fire that burns excuses to ash. It does not negotiate with laziness. It commands action. When a man or woman fixes their mind upon a purpose so intensely that nothing else exists, they set into motion unseen forces that align circumstances, people, and events in their favor. You see, desire is not a wish. It is a demand backed by faith. When you truly want something, not casually, but with a burning obsession, you begin to walk, talk, and act like a person who already possesses it. That intensity attracts opportunity like a magnet. But it is not enough to want. You must act. And you must act with the kind of persistence that doesn't waver when you're tired, discouraged, or defeated. Every champion has faced moments of doubt. Every successful soul has been surrounded by darkness. But they kept moving, not because they always felt like it, but because they were forced by a higher decision they had made, to win no matter what. Discipline, ladies and gentlemen, is the bridge between dreams and reality. When motivation fades, and it will, discipline remains. It is what drags you out of bed when your body begs for sleep. It is what keeps you grinding when others have quit. And it is what forges winners from ordinary men and women. When you lock your focus on a definite purpose, when your desire burns hotter than your fears, and when your actions are governed by iron discipline, you are no longer hoping to win, you are forcing it. Let others wait for opportunity, let others seek permission, but you, Decide today that nothing will stop you. Decide that your future is not negotiable, and when you do, the world will have no choice but to step aside or be run over. Because the force within you, the force of unshakable will not be denied. This, my friends, is how you win. Desire is the starting point of all achievement. It is the birthplace of every dream that has ever materialized into reality. Every great invention, every towering building, every fortune amassed, and every triumph over adversity began as a quiet spark within the human heart, a desire. But this desire is not a vague hope or a casual interest. It is a deep, consuming, and relentless hunger that refuses to be silenced. It becomes a part of your identity. It influences how you think, how you speak, how you act, and how you respond to failure. There is no power on earth greater than a mind obsessed with a burning desire. This kind of desire is not content with delay. It does not retreat in the face of opposition. It grows stronger in hardship, more focused in rejection, and more determined in defeat. Most people never achieve what they want because their desire is weak. They wish for success. They daydream about greatness. They speak of goals with enthusiasm, but they do not possess the inner drive to pursue them with everything they have. Wishing is easy. Anyone can wish, but desire is different. Real desire produces a kind of inner pressure. It's uncomfortable. It keeps you awake at night. It occupies your thoughts during the day. It forces you to take action, even when the conditions aren't perfect, even when others doubt you, even when the odds are stacked against you. It creates an inner compulsion that will not be denied. No one ever stumbled into greatness by accident. They achieved it because they had a definite aim and a burning desire to reach it. They knew what they wanted, and they were willing to pay the price. The truth is, most people fail not because they lack ability, but because they lack the intensity of desire required to drive them to continue after failure. A person with a strong desire becomes resourceful. They find ways when others say there are none. They dig deeper, they push further, they endure longer. Desire is the engine that powers discipline. It is the fuel for persistence. It is the mother of innovation and the father of courage. When you possess a strong desire, failure becomes merely a detour, not a dead end. You begin to view problems not as roadblocks, but as challenges to be overcome. You gain a different relationship with struggle. It becomes something to learn from, not something to avoid. Think of the individuals who have changed the world. They were not always the smartest, the most talented, or the most connected, but they were always the most determined. Their desire to succeed was greater than their fear of failure. Their hunger to rise was stronger than their comfort with staying the same. They were willing to risk embarrassment, judgment, financial loss, even their reputation, because the fire of desire burned too hot to ignore. Desire does not wait for permission. It does not shrink in the face of rejection. It refuses to be silenced by fear. It insists on being expressed, developed, and realized. When you carry a strong desire, you begin to shape your environment to match your inner vision. You begin to take actions aligned with your dream. You read what others won't read. You practice when others rest. You sacrifice temporary pleasure for lasting achievement. There is something magical about desire. When it is backed by belief and action, it starts to reshape your destiny. Your thoughts begin to change. Your habits begin to change. Your words begin to change. You become a different person, one capable of producing results that once seemed impossible. You begin to influence others. People start to take notice. They may not know what it is, but they feel your energy. They recognize your focus. They see your refusal to quit. Desire gives you a sense of clarity. It becomes a lens through which you filter your decisions. You no longer waste time on what doesn't matter. You begin to guard your energy. You become selective with your associations. You surround yourself with people who fuel your ambition, not those who drain it. You develop mental toughness. You become emotionally resilient, and all of this starts with desire. Most people underestimate what desire can do. They think success is about having the right opportunity, being in the right place, knowing the right people. But without desire, none of that matters. Opportunity means nothing to the person who won't act. Favor means nothing to the person who won't prepare. Support means nothing to the person who won't persist. Desire is what turns potential into progress. It is what transforms vision into reality. If you want something with all your heart, you begin to organize your life around it. You begin to train your mind to reject distractions. You stop entertaining doubt. You start feeding your faith. You treat your time like a treasure. You become willing to do what others won't so that you can have what others never will. You push yourself, not because someone else tells you to, but because the desire within you demands it. This level of desire does not depend on external motivation. It is self-sustaining. It is self-igniting. When others are resting, you are building. When others are procrastinating, you are executing. When others are complaining, you are solving. You are not waiting for circumstances to align. You are creating the circumstances yourself. You are no longer a passive observer of life. You become a deliberate creator of outcomes. Desire shapes your inner dialogue. You stop saying, "I can't," and start saying, "I must." You stop wondering if it's possible and start deciding that it will be done. You refuse to be average. You reject mediocrity. You become allergic to excuses. Your mind becomes focused like a laser beam, cutting through obstacles with precision. Nothing significant has ever been achieved without desire. It is the power that pulled men across oceans, launched rockets into space, lifted nations from poverty, and transformed ordinary individuals into legends. Without it, talent is wasted. Intelligence is squandered. Resources are unused, but with it, anything becomes possible. It does not matter where you start. It does not matter what you lack. If you have desire, you have everything you need to begin. The rest can be learned. The skills can be developed. The knowledge can be acquired. But you must start with desire. Not the kind of desire that flickers and fades, but the kind that refuses to die. The kind that gets stronger when tested. The kind that becomes more focused with time. That is the desire that changes lives. That is the desire that drives men and women to overcome poverty, illness, loss, and fear. That is the desire that builds empires and writes history. It is available to anyone who dares to want something so deeply that they are willing to dedicate their life to it. It cannot be borrowed, gifted, or bought. It must be born within you. It must be nurtured, protected, and honored. Once you possess this kind of desire, the world begins to change. You no longer see limitations, you see possibilities. You no longer settle, you strive. You no longer seek comfort, you seek growth. This desire becomes your compass, your fuel, and your fire. It will wake you up, push you forward, and keep you going long after the noise has faded and the excitement has passed. Desire is not for the faint of heart. It will test you. It will stretch you. It will demand everything from you. But in return, it will give you power, the power to shape your future, the power to rise from defeat, the power to build, to create, to become. Every journey worth taking begins with this power. Every goal worth achieving is fueled by this fire. And every person who ever changed the world started with one thing, an unstoppable desire to do so. Definiteness of purpose gives you power. Definiteness of purpose is the starting point of all true success. It is the clear and unwavering vision of what you want to accomplish. When a person knows exactly what they want, every action they take becomes charged with direction. They no longer drift through life hoping for good fortune. They become the architects of their own destiny. This clarity, this singleness of intent, gives a man or woman strength beyond measure. It channels the scattered forces of the mind into one intense beam of power that can penetrate obstacles and summon opportunities. People who fail in life are not always lacking in ability. Often they are simply uncertain. They try a little of this and a little of that. They jump from goal to goal, idea to idea, passion to passion. They move quickly, but they move without purpose, and motion without direction is the illusion of progress. It wears you down, steals your time, and leaves you wondering why you are exhausted but still standing in the same place. Definiteness of purpose acts as an internal compass. It guides your decisions and eliminates distractions. It tells you what to say yes to, and just as importantly, what to say no to. When your purpose is clear, you do not chase every opportunity that crosses your path. You do not seek approval from the masses. You are not pulled by every wind of opinion. You know where you are going, and you are going there with determination and precision. The human mind is a miraculous machine, but it functions best under direction. Without purpose, it becomes a tool for doubt and fear. With purpose, it becomes a weapon of creation. It begins to search for resources, people, and information that match the outcome you desire. It becomes alert, focused, and sharp. You become more observant. You begin to see opportunities that were always there but went unnoticed because your attention was scattered. A person with definiteness of purpose becomes magnetic. They draw others to them. People are naturally drawn to strength, clarity, and passion. When you speak with conviction and move with certainty, doors open. People respect you. They may not agree with you, but they will take notice. You become a person of influence, not because you shout the loudest, but because you walk in alignment with your mission. There is power in deciding, real power. The moment you make a firm decision about who you are and what you will achieve, you set unseen forces into motion. The world begins to bend in your direction. Circumstances begin to cooperate. The right people begin to appear, not all at once and not without struggle, but consistently and persistently over time. You are no longer just reacting to life. You are creating it. This is not theory. This is not philosophy. This is law. Just as gravity pulls objects downward, definiteness of purpose pulls success toward you. It gives your life a framework. It gives your work meaning. It transforms your pain into progress. When you know what you're working toward, even the most painful setbacks become lessons, not defeats. Even failure becomes fuel. Most people never experience this power because they are afraid to commit. They want to keep their options open. They are afraid to choose because choosing one thing feels like losing something else. But indecision is the thief of greatness. Every day spent wondering is a day lost. Every moment spent doubting is a moment wasted. True achievement requires a decision so strong that it overrides every excuse, every fear, every doubt. When you have a definite purpose, you begin to operate at a higher level. Your goals become more than desires. They become duties. You wake up with urgency. You treat time with respect. You measure your actions against your mission. You stop living casually and begin living intentionally. This is when your life begins to shift. You do not have to be extraordinary to make this shift. You do not have to wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, or the perfect opportunity. All you need is the courage to choose, to declare with no hesitation what it is you are going to accomplish. That clarity gives you leverage. You can make decisions faster. You can say no to time-wasting activities. You can focus on what truly matters. Definiteness of purpose turns effort into results. It makes the same hour of work 10 times more productive. Why? Because you are no longer guessing. You are executing. You are not experimenting. You are building. Every step you take moves you forward. Every mistake becomes a lesson tied to a larger goal. Every win becomes momentum. There is nothing passive about purpose. It demands something of you. It requires discipline, sacrifice, and consistency. It will stretch you. It will test your resolve, but it will also elevate you. It will take you beyond what you believed possible. It will introduce you to a version of yourself that you didn't even know existed. A stronger, wiser, more powerful you. Purpose gives you resilience. It strengthens you from the inside out when the storms of life hit, and they will. You do not crumble. You do not run. You endure, you adapt, you press forward. Why? Because you are not living by accident. You are living by design. You have a target. You have a mission, and you are not stopping until it is done. Look at every person who has ever made a lasting mark on the world, and you will find this common thread. They knew what they were here to do. They did not hesitate. They did not entertain mediocrity. They did not chase trends or popularity. They had a vision that burned inside of them, and they pursued it with relentless focus. That is the power of purpose. Even when things don't go your way, even when nothing seems to be working, purpose keeps you grounded. It reminds you of why you started. It brings clarity in the midst of confusion. It helps you stay calm when others panic. It gives you patience when results are delayed. It gives you strength when your body is tired and your mind is weak. You begin to think differently. You begin to see how every action connects to a larger outcome. You stop asking, "Is this hard?" and start asking, "Is this necessary?" You no longer seek ease. You seek effectiveness. You begin to value the long term over the short term. You begin to build a foundation that lasts. The most powerful individuals are not the ones who move the fastest. They are the ones who move with purpose. They are not distracted by noise. They are not discouraged by delay. They are focused, determined, and deliberate. They do not waste time proving themselves to others. They are too busy becoming who they are meant to be. This is available to anyone, not just the privileged, not just the educated, not just the lucky. Anyone who is willing to make a decision, to choose a goal, to commit to it, and to pursue it with everything they have, and harness the power of purpose. It is not about what you have, it is about what you decide. A clear purpose transforms your energy, it sharpens your mind, it disciplines your actions, it aligns your heart, it wakes you up early and keeps you up late. It makes your work sacred and your sacrifices meaningful. You are no longer working just to survive. You are working to fulfill something bigger than yourself. The moment you identify your definite purpose and begin to pursue it with relentless intent, your life begins to change. You start walking taller. You begin speaking with more conviction. You stop apologizing for your ambition. You no longer need external validation. You are moved by an inner fire that no one else can extinguish. This fire is the source of true power. It is the reason some rise while others fall. It is the force that takes you from average to excellent, from forgotten to remembered. It is the foundation upon which every lasting success is built. And it begins the moment you stop drifting, stop doubting, and start declaring, "This is who I am. This is what I will achieve, and nothing will stop me." Faith transforms your thoughts into reality. Faith is the bridge between thought and result, between imagination and achievement. It is not merely belief in something external. It is belief in your own ability to create, to overcome, to endure, and to succeed. Faith is the internal force that gives your thoughts substance, power, and direction. Without it, your thoughts are weak. They float aimlessly like clouds, but with faith, those thoughts become structured. They become blueprints for success, energized by certainty and fortified by emotional conviction. Every great accomplishment that has shaped the course of history was once just a thought. But not every thought becomes a reality, only the ones backed by unwavering faith. Faith is what gives thought the strength to stand against resistance, to push through doubt, to survive failure. It's what separates dreamers from doers. Faith is what turns a mere idea into a burning conviction, and that conviction moves you to action. It causes you to step into the unknown when everything logical says stay put. When you truly have faith in an idea, you begin to speak about it as if it were already real. You move toward it with the confidence of someone who knows they cannot fail. You no longer wait for guarantees. You no longer beg for permission. You simply proceed with determination and belief so strong that others begin to believe in your dream as well. Thoughts are powerful, but they are only potential until something brings them to life. That something is faith. You can think about success. You can visualize it. You can write it down and repeat affirmations every morning. But unless you believe in your ability to bring that success into being, those thoughts will die in your mind. Faith is the force that transfers your ideas from the mental world to the physical one. It begins with your self-image. If you cannot see yourself as capable, you will never act with the energy required to succeed. Faith in yourself is not arrogance. It is the recognition that the same creative intelligence that built empires and advanced civilizations also exists within you. You were born with the capacity to rise. You have the power to grow beyond your current circumstances, but you must first believe it, not casually, not occasionally, but completely. This kind of faith is not blind, it is not naive, it does not deny struggle or pretend the path is easy. It simply decides that the outcome is worth it, and that no obstacle is stronger than your resolve. You may not know how every step will unfold, but you trust that if you take the first step, the next one will appear. That is the essence of faith in action. Faith conditions your mind for success. It programs your subconscious to search for solutions instead of problems, to look for opportunity instead of lack, to recognize potential instead of limitation. It affects the words you use, the energy you carry, and the way others respond to you. People can feel your belief even if they don't understand it. They may not see your vision, but they will feel your certainty, and that has a power of its own. When you speak with faith, your words carry weight. When you act with faith, your movements gain momentum. When you live with faith, life begins to respond in kind, the resources begin to appear, the right people enter your life. Unexpected opportunities emerge, not because you waited for them, but because your faith aligned your thoughts, your actions, and your environment. There will be moments when faith is the only thing you have left, when plans fall apart, when effort goes unrewarded, when progress is slow and doubt is loud. It is in these moments that faith reveals its true strength. It allows you to persist without evidence, to move forward without applause, to keep building when no one is watching. That level of faith builds character, and character builds legacy. The greatest enemy of faith is fear. Fear whispers, "What if you fail?" Faith answers, "What if I succeed?" Fear says, "You're not ready." Faith replies, "Start anyway." Fear paralyzes. Faith mobilizes, and the moment you choose faith over fear, you shift the entire direction of your life. One thought at a time, one decision at a time, you begin to shape a future that once seemed out of reach. You must guard your faith. It is precious. Surround yourself with voices that feed it, not voices that weaken it. Choose books, conversations, and environments that reinforce your belief in possibility. Your mind is fertile soil. What you plant grows. If you constantly feed it with doubt, confusion, and criticism, your faith will weaken. But if you nourish it with hope, truth, and empowering ideas, your faith will grow unshakable. Faith is not passive, it demands action. It asks you to prepare before the opportunity comes. It pushes you to practice before the stage is ready. It commands you to sow before the harvest is visible. Faith works hand in hand with discipline. It says, keep showing up. Even when nothing is working, even when no one is watching, faith tells you that your efforts are not in vain. When you believe deeply in what you are doing, you begin to attract help. People want to be part of something meaningful. They are drawn to conviction. Your belief becomes contagious. Your passion spreads. Others want to help not just because of your vision, but because of the certainty in your voice, the fire in your eyes, the confidence in your step. Many people quit, not because they lacked ability, but because they lost faith. They allowed one failure to define them. They mistook a delay for a denial, but faith teaches you that the process is part of the promise, that the delay is shaping you, that every setback is setting you up for something greater. If you don't give up, there is no such thing as overnight success. Behind every victory is a period of struggle that required intense faith. The kind of faith that keeps you building when there's no feedback, that keeps you practicing when no one is clapping, that keeps you believing when no one else does. That is where champions are made, not on the stage, but in the silence before it. Faith gives you inner peace. When others are worried about the economy, you are focused on your purpose. When others are panicking about circumstances, you are preparing for opportunity. When others are quitting, you are growing. Faith creates stability in chaos. It gives you the ability to control your inner world, even when the outer world is unpredictable. This is the faith that changes lives. The faith that says, I may not have the evidence yet, but I have the vision. I may not see the way, but I trust the journey. I may not feel strong, but I know I am being strengthened. That kind of faith does not need validation. It does not ask for permission. It acts, and by acting, it creates results. The greatest achievements in the world were not built on certainty. They were built on faith. Faith in ideas that others laughed at. Faith in visions that no one else could see. Faith in missions that seemed impossible, but they moved forward anyway, and their faith made the impossible possible. That same power is available to you. The moment you align your thoughts with faith, you step into creative authority. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstances. You become a cause, not an effect. You start living by intention, not reaction. Faith transforms your language. You begin speaking victory instead of defeat, possibility instead of limitation, destiny instead of chance. You replace phrases like I hope and I wish with I will and I must. You begin to act as if it were impossible to fail, not because you're guaranteed success, but because you've decided that failure is not where your story ends. This is the faith that builds businesses from nothing, that restores broken relationships, that lifts communities out of despair, that heals, empowers, and awakens. It starts in the mind, takes root in the heart, and manifests through action, and it is available right now to anyone bold enough to believe. The mastery of self-discipline is the cornerstone of all achievement. It is the force that separates those who merely dream from those who transform their dreams into reality. Without it, even the best ideas, the brightest minds, and the most ambitious plans are destined to fail. Self-discipline is not about denying yourself the pleasures of life. It is about recognizing that short-term sacrifices lead to long-term gains. It is the ability to stay focused on the goal despite distractions and to remain committed even when the path gets difficult. At its core, self-discipline is about control. It is the mastery over the self, over your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. It is the ability to make choices based on your ultimate objectives, rather than on immediate desires or external pressures. The most successful people are not the ones who follow the path of least resistance. They are the ones who know how to stay on course, even when the world is telling them to turn back. One of the greatest challenges in life is that we are constantly bombarded with distractions. The world is full of noise. It pulls at your attention, your time, and your energy. Social media, entertainment, the opinions of others, all of these things are constantly trying to take you off track. And it is easy to succumb. It is easy to be caught up in the rush of daily life, to spend your time reacting instead of acting with intention. But those who master self-discipline are those who resist the pull of the trivial. They do not waste their time chasing distractions. They know that every moment counts, and they are careful about how they invest their time. Self-discipline begins with clear goals. You cannot be disciplined if you do not know what you are working toward. The purpose of self-discipline is not to force yourself to work hard for the sake of working hard. It is about aligning your actions with your vision. When you have a definite goal, it becomes much easier to direct your energy. You no longer waste time on things that do not matter. You know exactly what you need to do, and you take action without hesitation. But having a goal is not enough. Self-discipline is the habit of consistently taking action toward that goal, regardless of how you feel in the moment. It requires a commitment to do what is necessary, even when you do not feel like doing it. This is where many people fail. They start with enthusiasm, with energy and excitement. But as time goes on, the excitement fades. The initial motivation wanes, and when the inevitable challenges arise, they give up. Self-discipline is what allows you to keep going when the excitement has worn off, when the obstacles seem insurmountable, and when the path ahead is unclear. The journey to mastering self-discipline is one of self-awareness. It requires you to understand your weaknesses and recognize where you are most likely to slip. It involves looking at your habits, your routines, and your behaviors with an honest lens. It requires taking responsibility for the choices you make and the actions you take, but it also requires forgiveness and patience. You will stumble. You will fall short of your own expectations at times. But self-discipline teaches you to get back on track quickly, to learn from your mistakes, and to keep moving forward without dwelling on the past. One of the most important aspects of self-discipline is the ability to delay gratification. In today's world, we live in an age of instant results. We can get anything we want with the click of a button: food, entertainment, products, information. This instant gratification has conditioned us to expect fast results in every area of life. But real success does not come quickly. It takes time, effort, and patience. Self-discipline is the ability to delay immediate rewards in exchange for a more significant, long-term outcome. It is the ability to stay focused on the big picture, even when the small pleasures of the present are tempting. For instance, when you set a goal to lose weight, it is not enough to simply want to lose the weight. You must have the self-discipline to make healthier choices every day, choosing vegetables over junk food, exercising when you feel tired, resisting the temptation to skip a workout or eat something unhealthy. The same goes for business success. It is easy to be distracted by shiny objects, new trends, the latest gimmick, the new business opportunity that promises fast success. But success comes from sticking to your plan, refining your craft, and continuing to put in the work, even when the rewards are not immediate. Self-discipline also requires you to manage your emotions. One of the greatest challenges in achieving your goals is dealing with the emotional ups and downs that come with the process. There will be moments of doubt, frustration, and discouragement. You will face rejection, setbacks, and failures. The key is not to avoid these emotions, but to manage them effectively. It is about recognizing that your emotions are not the enemy, they are simply signals. Self-discipline is learning to stay grounded in your purpose, even when your emotions are trying to pull you in a different direction. In moments of emotional turmoil, self-discipline enables you to refocus on what matters most. It allows you to choose your actions, regardless of how you feel. It teaches you to separate your emotions from your behavior, to respond to situations instead of reacting impulsively. It helps you maintain perspective, to remind yourself of your goals, and to recognize that temporary setbacks are just that, temporary. With Self-discipline, you can control your response to any situation, and your response will determine your results. The ability to say no is also a crucial aspect of self-discipline. Every time you say yes to something, you are also saying no to something else. You cannot say yes to every opportunity, every request, or every invitation that comes your way. You must be selective about how you spend your time and energy. Self-discipline means saying no to distractions, saying no to things that do not align with your goals, and saying no to anything that will derail you from your path. This may be difficult at first, especially if you are someone who likes to please others or be involved in everything. But once you recognize that your time is precious and finite, you will learn to say no with confidence and clarity. Another key aspect of self-discipline is the ability to build positive habits. Successful people are not necessarily more talented or gifted than others. They have simply mastered the habits that lead to success. Whether it is waking up early, exercising regularly, or practicing mindfulness, these habits add up over time. They compound, creating momentum that leads to greater productivity and achievement. Self-discipline allows you to consistently repeat the behaviors that align with your goals, even when the novelty wears off. In the beginning, developing these habits may feel like a struggle, but with time they will become second nature. The key is consistency. Small actions repeated over time lead to extraordinary results. By mastering self-discipline, you create a life of consistency, a life where your habits work for you, not against you. Ultimately, self-discipline is the ability to control your future by controlling your present. It is the ability to stay on course even when the winds of life are blowing in a different direction. It is the commitment to your goals, the perseverance to keep going when things get tough, and the resilience to rise each time you fall. When you master self-discipline, you master your destiny. You become the creator of your own success. Self-discipline is not about being perfect. It is about being consistent. It is not about avoiding failure. It is about learning from failure and not letting it stop you. It is not about denying yourself everything you enjoy. It is about choosing what is best for you in the long run. And when you embrace self-discipline, you unlock the power to achieve anything you set your mind to. The power of persistence is the quality that turns dreams into reality. It is the unyielding determination to continue in the face of obstacles, the willingness to keep going when every part of you wants to give up, and the strength to persist when success seems far away. Persistence is often the most important factor in determining whether you succeed or fail. It is not the most talented, the smartest, or the most gifted people who achieve greatness. It is the persistent ones, the ones who refuse to quit, the ones who stand tall even when faced with adversity. At its core, persistence is the refusal to accept defeat. It is the ability to keep going in the face of failure, disappointment, and frustration. It requires a mindset that views setbacks not as insurmountable barriers, but as opportunities to learn, grow, and improve. Success is not a linear path. It is a winding road filled with twists, turns, and obstacles. It is the persistent individual who knows that these challenges are just part of the process, and that they will eventually lead to greater success. Many people start their journey with great enthusiasm. They have a vision, a goal, and the excitement to take action. But as time goes on, the initial excitement fades, the challenges increase, and the rewards seem distant. This is when most people give up. They may not quit entirely, but they lose the fire they once had. They allow doubt and discouragement to cloud their judgment, and they abandon their dreams for something that seems more achievable. But persistence is what allows you to stay in the game when others would have quit. It is what keeps you pushing forward when there is no immediate payoff, no recognition, and no encouragement. Persistence is not about brute force. It is not about working harder for the sake of working harder. It is about working smarter, adjusting your approach when necessary, and never losing sight of your vision. It is about being flexible and adaptive while maintaining a clear focus on your ultimate goal. Persistence is the constant pursuit of progress, no matter how small the steps may be. It means committing to the process, trusting that each step you take brings you closer to your desired outcome, even when you cannot yet see the results. One of the greatest challenges that persistence requires is the ability to endure failure. Failure is often seen as the end, the signal that you are not good enough or that your dream is unattainable. But failure is not the end, it is merely a part of the journey. Every successful person has failed at some point. The difference between those who succeed and those who fail is that the successful ones use failure as a stepping stone. They understand that failure is not a reflection of their worth or ability. It is simply a feedback mechanism. It tells you what does not work, what needs to be changed, and what must be improved. Persistence in the face of failure means understanding that every setback is temporary and that the lessons learned from failure are invaluable. When you persist, you do not allow failure to define you. Instead, you see it as an opportunity to grow, refine your strategy, and approach your goals from a different angle. You may fail once, twice, or 100 times, but each failure is one step closer to success. The key is to keep going, to refuse to be discouraged by temporary setbacks, and to continue pursuing your goal with the same energy and enthusiasm as when you first began. Persistence also requires patience. In a world where instant gratification is the norm, it can be difficult to stay focused on long-term goals. We live in a society that encourages quick fixes and fast results, but true success does not come overnight. It requires time, effort, and sustained action. Patience is the companion of persistence. It is the ability to keep going even when the results are not immediate, to trust that your hard work will eventually pay off. Success is not a sprint, it is a marathon, and the persistent person understands that slow progress is still progress. The power of persistence is also evident in the stories of great inventors, innovators, and entrepreneurs. Thomas Edison, for example, is famous for having failed thousands of times before finally inventing the light bulb. When asked about his failures, he responded, "I have not failed. I've just found 10 zeros, zero ways that won't work." This mindset is what separates those who succeed from those who give up. Edison's persistence, his refusal to accept failure as final, led to one of the most significant inventions in human history. The same principle applies in every area of life. Whether you are building a business, pursuing a career, developing a skill, or working on a personal goal, persistence is key. The challenges may seem insurmountable at times, and the road ahead may appear long and difficult. But persistence is the key that unlocks the door to success. It is the force that keeps you moving forward when the path is unclear and when doubt tries to take root. Persistence requires mental toughness. It is about developing the ability to stay focused, to stay calm under pressure, and to keep your eye on the prize. It is about being able to push through difficult times without allowing them to derail your progress. Mental toughness is built through perseverance. It is cultivated by consistently facing challenges and refusing to let them break your spirit. It is the ability to handle rejection, criticism, and adversity without losing faith in your ability to succeed. The persistent individual understands that success is not guaranteed, but they also understand that the odds of success are dramatically improved if they keep trying. They have the courage to face their fears, the resilience to bounce back from setbacks, and the determination to keep going when the road gets tough. Persistence is a quiet force that builds momentum over time. It may seem insignificant at first, but the small, consistent efforts compound and lead to big results. One of the most important aspects of persistence is the ability to stay true to your purpose. In times of difficulty, it is easy to lose sight of why you started in the first place. You may become discouraged by the challenges, distracted by the opinions of others, or tempted to take shortcuts, but the persistent person is grounded in their purpose. They have a clear vision of why they are doing what they are doing, and that vision keeps them going when the road gets tough. Persistence is not just about working hard. It is about working with purpose, with conviction, and with an unwavering belief in your ability to achieve your goals. Persistence also involves learning from others. When you persist, you do not do so in isolation. You seek wisdom from those who have gone before you. You learn from their mistakes and successes, and you apply those lessons to your own journey. The persistent person is not afraid to seek guidance, to ask for help, or to learn new skills. They understand that success is rarely achieved alone, and they are willing to put in the effort to improve themselves and their approach. The power of persistence lies in its ability to break down barriers. When you persist, you show the world that nothing can stop you. You prove that obstacles are not roadblocks, they are stepping stones. Each time you overcome an obstacle, you build strength and resilience. Each time you persist, you grow stronger, more capable, and more determined to achieve your goal. Success is not a matter of luck. It is not about being in the right place at the right time. Success is about persistence, the ability to keep going, no matter how many times you fail, no matter how many obstacles stand in your way. It is about continuing to push forward, to refine your approach, and to trust that your efforts will eventually lead to the success you desire. Persistence is the key to transforming dreams into reality. It is the driving force behind every success story. It is the unyielding commitment to your goals, the refusal to give up, and the strength to keep going when the road gets tough. Those who persist will eventually find success, and when they do, it will not be because they were lucky or gifted, but because they had the power of persistence on their side.